Hello, everybody. Welcome to a live stream here with Livzenastrology. Just wanted to give some energy updates and reflections as we are perhaps navigating these currents as we're entering and about to approach the new moon in Pisces on March 10th. And so I was in a deep meditation contemplation, which I have been all week actually, since the sun has entered into Pisces. Pisces is a very meditative sign. It's all about connecting to your spirituality. So really connecting to your spiritual practices has been paramount this week, especially since all this energy has been coming in. This newness of as things are dissolving away through the realm of Pisces, new awareness and new ideas, new dreams, new visions of the future for humanity is coming in. But these old paradigms of beliefs are dissolving, especially since we're just entering or exiting the moon in Sagittarius. So this week, the moon will be transiting Capricorn, Aquarius, and then going into Pisces. So astrologically, if you look at the chart, those signs are at the top of the chart, right? That means that it's primarily dealing with the other. It's a transpersonal configuration, meaning beyond the personal planets. So your personal planets would be your sun, your moon, Mercury, Venus, um, Mars, right? Those are things that personally affect you. So that's like the lower bowl of the chart if you're looking at your astrology chart. But then the upper realm would be how you interact or work with the other, right? So that's very much uh, starts with Libra, right? The seventh house going all the way up to the top of the bowl, which would be ending in Pisces. So this week in particular, it's really about our relationship with others. And in relation, how we relate to others is how we relate to ourselves. Sorry about the background noise. If you hear background noise, my roommate is in a meeting right now. So if you can hear that, it just letting you know if it's going on. But so what was coming in really strong to be looked at, this particular strong, I don't like to call it weak because I don't know, the language in this realm is kind of weird and it keeps you in this interesting state. So I never say good morning, I say grand rising. And when I'm looking at the forecast of this coming strong, I'm really looking at the fortnight, the half a fortnight, which a fortnight in historic terms was the week. But I don't want to call it weak because we're actually gaining momentum. We're gaining strength within our ability to love and actually tune in and tap into the frequencies of unconditional love, especially coming into this new moon in Pisces. So these are some of the configurations that wanted to be looked at that I wanted to share with you, and some perhaps navigation points and some tools on how to navigate and work with this energy. I just want to see if I'm still streaming. Oh, I'm possibly not still streaming, but that's okay. Okay, that's all right. We'll just go with it. um, so what I wanted to share this week wanted to come through as I was in my yoga pose. And this morning I was this grand rising, I was working with yoga with Adrienne, who's on YouTube. And if you're not familiar with yoga with Adrienne, I would highly recommend her. She's an amazing yoga practitioner. She's been online for over 10 years and she just gives from the heart. She's just an amazing facilitator if you're moving into yoga. And again, I would highly recommend during this Pisces season to work with your spiritual and meditative practices, which yoga to me has been a profound practice in getting into my body. This is Jupiter and Taurus, right? Jupiter historically ruled Pisces, which is a very spiritual planet. So expansion through spirituality is a big theme. And stepping into perhaps unfilled or uncharted territory of unconditional love in a way we've never experienced before could be felt, especially coming in as we're building this momentum of this new seed point in the new moon in Pisces. So today the practice was working with the pose of the humble warrior. So this is something that you can be working with this week. And I actually pulled some cards from my herbal astrology deck, which if you've never heard or looked at this deck, I highly recommend it as well, because working with certain herbs and plant medicines that carry certain vibrations or frequencies are really potent during this time. This is a form of alchemy. And this is a form of, using plant medicine. And plant medicine doesn't have to be escapism, right? It doesn't have to be, which can be very much Pisces, right? Because Pisces can also be the escapist. It can be addiction. It can be the need to connect to spirit through certain substances. So being very particular with the alchemy and the substances you work with, especially if you're working with, we've got Jupiter and Taurus working with herbs, medicines of the earth is so poignant and so effective right now, especially as we're connecting to our heart space. And so the two herbs that wanted to come through really strongly, and I asked, my guide, my inner guidance system, what do I need to be working with? What is going to help me really expand and step into these new dimensions of spirituality, of holding the vision for humanity, holding the vision for myself as I'm navigating, learning how to love more of myself, more of the other, right? How do I, because I can only love the other as much as I learn to love myself. And this is very much an Aquarian perspective of, it's about universal love. It's a type of agape, right? The Greeks say that there's different types of love. And this is more of a universal love for all of humanity, not just our interpersonal, perhaps individuated love relationships, which may be on the forefront, depending on where this is transiting in your chart. But as a collective energy, we're all here to learn to love each other more unconditionally. And that only comes from inside, right? So as you learn to really love your body, love your practice, um, love your shadow, right? We just came out of the moon in Scorpio, going transiting moon in Sagittarius today. And then we're going into moon in Capricorn, which is about structure and how we use all these energies that we've just processed, all these emotional bodies that we've just navigated through our belief system through Sagittarius. Now, as we enter into Capricorn, which will be the next 2 days, so starting the end of today, going into Tuesday and then into Wednesday, and then it's going to switch going into Aquarius because it follows a time cycle, right? It follows a clock, like the signs of the zodiac. It just follows that ley line. And so, but there's a method to it, right? There's an energetic imprint that has a sequence, that has where energy may appear to be chaotic, especially during in Pisces season. There actually is a method to this energy if we can allow and step in and not try to control it, because you can't control sand and ocean, right? You get it's like trying to clean up the water, trying to vacuum sand. It's never ending. It's never going to happen. So you just have to be in the state of allowance, because there are new hopes, dreams, and visions coming online, especially since we do have Mercury in Pisces with the sun in Pisces. And we have a nice sextile happening between Pisces and Jupiter, or Uranus and Jupiter and Taurus. Taurus is about the body. Taurus is about the earth, right? And so these herbs that wanted to come through today to be worked with through this deck that I'm pulling from is the cacao and rose. So cacao medicine is a very big heart opener. It's like a chocolate. It's a seed, and I know it's found in certain tropical parts of the world. And if anybody's ever worked with cacao or chocolate, it's different than like hot cocoa, right? It's cacao. It's medicinal. It's a different type of frequency that is more aligned with the heart. So it's a very big heart opener. So I don't know if anybody's ever been to a cacao ceremony or has worked with cacao medicine, which again is just a very rich chocolate, and it tastes amazing. It's the sweetness of life, right? It can be very bitter too, depending on how you curate it and cultivate it. But this is the medicine or the herbs that wanted to be worked with, especially as there's this beautiful sextile, and sextiles are like a nice friction energy. Think of the word sex and sextile, right? There's new creation happening between Jupiter and Mercury, the mind, and the sun illuminating our the next phase of what we're coming into as a human collective, which is a new dream of humanity. But we've got to be grounded, right, in the earth. And we've got to work with the plants and the medicines, put our bare feet on the ground and start imbibing with the frequency of Mother Earth. Because Jupiter, that's how we get expanded, right? We get expanded through our spirituality, through our connection to source of all that is, to each other, through these divine practices. And so the other plant that wanted to be worked with really strongly was the rose, right? So roses have one of the highest vibrational frequencies in the plant kingdom. And if you've ever worked with rose oil, which, if you've ever priced out rose oil in some companies, it's very pricey because of the process of how many petals it takes to cultivate and curate roses. But you can go out and buy yourself roses. My roommate, she loves to purchase roses. She has roses on the counter all the time next to her Palo Santo and next to her sage, and that's part of our AM Grand Rising practice is to burn sage and Palo Santo, to light a candle, to have the roses there on the altar, just to invite in the day the frequency of this rose energy, which really is about love. It's a very Venusian, very Venus activating. It's ruled by the planet Venus. It's ruled by the moon, which is our emotions. And right now we've got Venus in Aquarius, which Aquarius is all about humanity, right? It's about the actual human friends, groups, organizations. So this is a heart expansive week, especially as we are stepping into what it means to love unconditionally. And just upon honest reflection, guys, I don't know if until I had my own son back in 1999, if I knew what unconditional love was. That song, I Want to Know What Love Is coming in. I want to know what love is. Anyway, um, that could be a relevant question during this week, during this Pisces flow, because there may be some of us who have never tapped into the frequency of unconditional love. I'm going to say that again because I feel like it's relevant. There may be some of us right now that's watching this, that's connected to this, that may have never been able to tap into the frequency of unconditional love. Up until now, it's been conditional. It's been conditioned. And I would say because Jupiter's involved, right, in Taurus, and Jupiter rules law, natural law. Pisces rules spirituality. And I can only speak for myself, raised in 4 different churches and 4 different backgrounds, being baptized in 4 different religions, right? I was taught that, you know, God came and died for your sins because you were born into sin. So even from the get-go, I was told, even as a baby, I was born into sin, whatever sin was. And then the whole definition of sin was, you know, lack, unworth, not worthy, all these things. So in order to be loved by this God force that I was taught is that you have to get saved, right? You have to be baptized. There's certain things you have to do to be loved. Is that dropping away? Does that need to drop away? Does that belief system that we have to do something, be something, look a certain way, act a certain way to be lovable? Is that a conditioning that has kept us in bondage, in prison, that has kept the structures of humanity separate from one another? The illusion of separation is what's dissolving, because as we're stepping into these age of Aquarius, the quantum realms, the quantum energy shows us that there is no separation. All is self. Everything is a projection. That energy does not show up until you're observing it, right? Until you're observing the energy, these strings of fields of energy don't show up for you. Right? It's this great void of creation until you actually put your energy and focus and light to it to create. So that's something that was coming in really strong, is that as we are learning to love ourselves, the earth, Jupiter and Taurus, as we are expanding our practices of being embodied in the body, honoring our vessel, honoring this ship, honoring this heart, which is earth, right? Because the earth is heart, there is no separation. We are part of it. We are divine intelligence. And Mother Nature we are her creation. We are part of her creation. Uranus, Father Sky, and Mama Gaia, Mother Earth, they came together and they formed the children, right? Saturn, Time, and all the Titans, Aphrodite, all the goddesses and gods were created from these frequencies, which are, the archetypes is just really describing us, our psycho spiritual nature of humanity, And so if you study mythology and you study these characters in mythology, they're just talking about you, aspects of you, and how you project this reality based on constructs, relationships, egos, dynamics. And if you don't already study mythology, or learning the stories of Greek and Roman mythology and other mythologies throughout the world, I highly recommend studying Joseph Campbell's work and the hero's journey, because he talks about that there are these archetypes playing out in every single culture all over the world, describing the frequency of humanity in their psycho-spiritual nature, of a call to action, a challenge we must go to, a battle we must have, which is the battle within, which is really the acids dissolving things in our body, right? This projected battle that's happening internally. And then there's this resolution, right? That we have this epiphany, this awakening. We go and face our fears, and then we come back transformed, and we bring our transformative awareness to humanity, to the other, to share what we've learned in this whole hero's journey of evolution. And so the hero's journey right now in Pisces, because Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, getting ready to approach Aries, which is going to be the first. All of us are coming out of this hero's journey of a darkened phase of humanity where there was the illusion of separation. The great conflict is where we thought that we were separate from the other based on religion and cultural norms and hair color and gender and all the other parts of division, right? I'm even thinking football, right? The division AFC, there, even in the language, we're talking about division, right? Which is expressing duality, which is a needed component in this world, because we need contrast to see. If we're all just light, then we can't see each other unless there's contrast, right? So that's all duality has to mean, is there's a contrasting energy. There is a polar opposite force of varying degrees, degree points astrology, but it's all the same energy. It's just varying degrees of it. So through numerology, through the language, through symbols, we've given ourselves this codex, this remembrance in our DNA. And when we study something as mystical as astrology or mythology or the language, right? This is a divine remembrance. This is the code that we're using to get into these certain reality timelines, these certain frequencies of awareness. And the coding is changing because even the way we're using the language is changing. And astrology to me is an origin point because it if you ever looked at a birth chart, it looks like hieroglyphics. They're in astrology, they're called glyphs, right? Because there are codes embedded in each symbol. And even numerologically, and I'm going to do a class on this because it was a really amazing download about ones and zeros, and how every alternating number between 1, 0, and 9 is actually a masculine, a feminine, masculine, feminine, masculine, androgen, masculine. It goes into a pattern, even with the frequency. Any number that has a rounded aspect to it, like the 6 and the 9 and 3s, those are all feminine. And anything that has a very linear, like the 1s and the 4s, 5 is androgen because it has both, right? 7 is very masculine. The 8 is very feminine because it's 2. Anyway, these are kind of codings that were coming in as far as one of the 7 hermetic principles, which is everything is masculine and feminine. And I'm not talking gender. I'm talking frequency and modality of how everything's a 1 and a 0. But now through quantum energy, it's actually ones, zeros, and symbols. And that's how we're getting into this whole AI and quantum technology field, is because we're bypassing, or we're upgrading from just the ones and zeros, which is masculine and feminine. We're actually going into that holy trinity, which is moving into the symbology of what the ones and zeros mean, right? That we're coming into a whole pivot point of reality as these structures are coming online within, through the solar flares, through the solar energy, right? Through new light form is coming into our bodies, which is very much Aquarian. And it's coming through our unconscious realms, which is Pisces, right? The dream state. It's like coming up from the ocean. It's like we've been submerged for so long in these frequencies, these old teachings, these old timelines, but those are dissolving away. And now there's a new emergence happening right now, right now, right now. even as you're watching this channeled message, it's happening within you. So go support yourself while these new portals of energy, these new aspects of your DNA are starting to come on. It's like a light switch, right? It's on and off. It's again duality, right? But electricity is always running. It depends on whether you switch the light on or off, right? So there might have been our DNA that has been off, right? That now the light switch is turning on based on consciousness, based on where we are in the cosmos, right? In relation to our galactic sun, right? And so we this is another awareness that I wanted each of you guys to just be aware of in your own body. So we talk about chakra centers, right? And in the solar plexus, solar is sun, and each one of us has our own sun. That's why we call ourselves persons per sun. Each of us has our own central sun, which is in our solar plexus. And so these central solar plexus suns are now aligning to our galactic sun, which is the bigger sun, right? So I look at the sun like a portal. And so as we're moving into, as we're stepping outside every day, taking our shoes off, grounding in this energy, these electrical currents that are coming through the solar flares. And I like to put my hands up too. It's like a receiver. I think of myself as like this antenna that's receiving this energy, right? So again, working with practices like yoga, perhaps fallen dafa, tai chi, moving the energy, working with the elements, right? Elementals are also very earth. It's very Taurus. And so Jupiter is expanding our consciousness through working with the earth frequencies, through working with our own bodies, working with certain herbs that activate our DNA that's coming online, that's flipping the switch on. And what it's doing is it's creating a whole new geometry within us. It's a whole new blueprint um, that was contained within our birth charts when we were born. But now those blueprints are shifting and changing. So I think of it like what's coming in right now is imagine all of us were born in a family home, right? And if you imagine it was 3 bedroom, 2 bath, then you had a lanai, a pool, or whatever, however, your house was constructed. But now the energy is like, okay, there's a reconstructing happening. So now you're going to have a 5 bedroom house, 3 bathroom. You're going to have a jacuzzi with the pool. You're going to have a garden now, right? So there's this expanded geometry blueprint happening within as we're housing these energies. Our house is expanding and we're starting to have more room, more structure, infrastructure going in and building these structures so that we can project them out that's more harmonious, that's more connected. There's no separation now, not in the way we've been projecting it through the way we've been or indoctrinated perhaps up until now. And again, I honor the process of being in religion. I honor the process of what religion taught me, but I've outgrown it, right? It's like we outgrow old shoes or old costumes or old ways of beings. It's like these new blueprints that are coming online have to expand because it has to house this new energy. So maybe the 3 bedroom, 2 bath that I was born into, I've outgrown it. Now my family, which is Aquarius, now we want to connect and be together in communal living spaces and learning to live as community. So I need more houses. I need more rooms in the house, right? We need more food in the garden. We need to learn to grow earth, Jupiter expanding. We need to work with the earth more, right? In sovereignty and learning how to actually get our hands in the soil, because soil is medicine too, right? It's got microbes and little beings that are actually helping activate our DNA. And so whatever you're projecting or thinking about the soil, don't worry, it's being remediated. The mushroom kingdom is helping us with that. The hemp kingdom remediates the soil if we start allowing ourselves to work with these medicines, these energies, because they're helping repair the earth. She's doing it anyway. This is a natural process. This is a process that is deeply intertwined into our consciousness and evolution, because Mother Earth is saying, look, I've been here for billions of years and I know how to evolve. I know how to grow and create a microbe structure that will continue to allow me to thrive and to take all the things that have transpired, and to create growth. But we're still babies. We're actually coming out of this darkened womb. I think of it like the womb, and we're starting to mature, right? So mother is asking us, Mother Earth, Father Sky, Grandfather Sky is asking us, it's now time to learn the traditional ways of how to work with the earth, because she wants us to thrive. She wants us to be in our highest expression, our most healthy bodies, right? But we have to unlearn some of the old programs. And again, that's happening naturally within our DNA. It's like some of these infrastructures are being turned off so that others can be turned on, right? These are new activating systems that are happening within us. We just have to support the body during this process. So, this is the week right now where, through working with your own body, through getting into your meditative practices, perhaps working with cacao, working with roses, moving your body in certain ways, falun dafa, yoga, tai chi, grounding in the energy, using your cell salts, because salts are a solvent, right? These are, I'm repeating a lot of some of the things that I process and work with. I feel like it's important because through repetition is how we ground in these routines, right? These new infrastructures. So it's like a hammer, right? You get to, in order to get the nail in, you got to hit it more than one time, right? So this is like, for myself, me hammering in this these practices, these routines gently, um, so that I can anchor in these new infrastructures that are happening organically and sustainably, right? Because there's there's new grid points coming on that are, especially now that we're getting ready to enter into this eclipse season, and eclipses are really about removing and really eliminating permanently old timelines. So that's going to be coming up in April. We'll talk more about that later. Just, stay tuned to the channel Lives on Astrology, because again, this particular channel comes from radical oneness, all is self. There's nothing outside of you that's happening that is not happening within you. So we just have to keep doing the inner work, especially this week, to tune in and tap into those frequencies of unconditional love that perhaps we never have been able to tap into. Now, I will say, as being a primarily feminine, identify as a feminine component in this lifetime, I feel like I've spent many incarnations as a masculine. So this realm, I wanted to be in more of a feminine component, to learn more of the yin perspective. To me, unconditional love, I've been able to tap into it by, first of all, having the blessing of being able to have a child. And it wasn't until I was given responsibility, this beautiful being, that I was like, oh my gosh, my heart opened up in places I never even knew were closed, right? Until I had this being. Having my dog Tanner in my life for 15 years now. Sometimes I just look at him and I just see him sleeping, and then my heart just expands. I mean, to the point where I'm even thinking about him now and I'm getting teary because I just love him so much. And the awareness that came through, and just something to consider and contemplate, is that as you're stepping into unconditional love, what you may be stepping to is also fear of loss, because when you love something so much, there's also the seed point that there's also a shelf life, that in this realm with time, as we're navigating time, because time is a structure, right? It's what holds this reality together. In this realm, there is a time limit to how long, just like in nature, right? We watch the tree, we can watch it grow from a little seed point, and then it grows up and it blooms and it gives all these beautiful fruits. And then eventually it dies off, right? And returns back to the earth. And so, in this deepening of awareness, that in this particular realm, there is an alpha and an omega, there is a beginning and an ending. And in life, there is a beginning and an ending. And I can only speak to one of my resistances to loving unconditionally, is because I knew that that which I loved unconditionally, I would lose, or it would end. And so that's just an awareness that I have to face within myself, that Tanner's not going to be in my life forever. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that he's been here for 15 years. I mean, what a gift. What a gift. And every moment that I get to have with him, every day that I get to, play with him and spend time with him and nurture him and love him is a gift. But it's not one that I want to repress or deny myself anymore because of fear of losing him, right? So this is something that we all might be experiencing too, is that fear of loss, that perhaps we were afraid to love unconditionally because one day we knew we would lose it, or that relationship with that being or that situation would change. But this is also part of the dance of allowance and non-attachment. Is what the Buddha talked about is just be very present with the energy that's in front of you and be very grateful for every moment you get to spend with that being, in that job that you love, in that house that you love, right? It's a moment by moment dance, and it can only be found in the now. So this is a new awareness too, or an old awareness that just wants to be reiterated this week specifically, is that stay present, because in the presence is where you can tap into unconditional love. And yes, there might be an awareness that will shift and change, but there's also this simultaneous awareness that our energy is neither created nor destroyed, it just changes forms. So I know that when Tanner decides to transition, which one day he will, I know that the essence of him, who he was in the physical form, will still be with me. It will be in my heart space. It'll be in my memory. It'll be around me, and just his essence that I got to experience. And I feel and believe that he'll come back again when he's ready to reincarnate, and that energy, that spirit of my protector, of my friend, of my companion will show up in another way. Because again, we never die in that realm. It just transforms. So this is just an offering and an expression that wanted to come through today, as we are perhaps allowing these new codexes of energy to be activated, to be turned on within our DNA, that's going to allow a new blueprint of reality to come online, a new housing system, a new way we house this energy. So make space for it. Use specific nurturing substances from the earth, Jupiter, using herbs, using fresh water, using the tools of Mama Gaia that she's given us in abundance to navigate these new frequencies of energies. So, and yeah, March 10th, this is the new moon in Pisces. So this is also the new house system. This is, I think of it like the new, like you were gifted by an architect, which is you, a new plans for your life, right? So this is where your house is going to be expanded, where you were living perhaps in that 3-bedroom 2-bath house. Now all of a sudden you're being the gifts of, like, by the way, you're going into a mansion, which is Vedic astrology. Your mansion is expanding. Now you're being given a health room in your house now, right? Because health is very much predominant, especially with Jupiter and Taurus. And Jupiter's going to be going into Gemini, which is all about the mind and information, right? So there's going to be new technologies that are coming online for us to take care of the body in more efficient, harmonious ways using technology. So in your house system, as you're constructing these new realms within you, as you were envisioning a new dream for yourself and the other, humanity, Aquarius, imagine all of us being healthy, not your own individuated self, but health for everybody, right? Imagine that there's certain storylines and that we've been embedded with certain diseases, dis-ease in the body, that now can be repaired and restored, rejuvenated, using these new technologies from the earth, in symbiosis with the earth. And just allow that new vision of humanity, of yourself, to come online. Make space for it. Stay in your spiritual practices. Allow these new configurations to come through, and come in April, March and April. Oh, Tanner's trying to come in. Hold on. He's coming. Come on in, Papa. Love you. With Aries is going to be taking action. So with Pisces, it's about the imagination. And then when it comes springtime, as we're going to be springing into action again, we're working with the currents of energy, these cosmic time clocks that are pointing us to the momentum that's building up for new construction. So right now, the blueprints are being downloaded, right, from the architect, the divine architect, which is you, which is an aspect of you. And then come April, end of March, April, now is going to time to build those infrastructures in the physical, right? Mars taking action. But you have to dream the dream and then take action on the implementation and making it happen. And especially with these eclipses that are really demolishing these old timelines, really demolishing these old constructs of separation, the illusion of separation. Again, be on the lookout for more awareness and technological advances. There's going to be a new story of science and how the body actually works. And how I liken that is too, I remember, back in the 80s, guys, the doctors were smoking in hospitals, right? They were still smoking in hospitals in the 80s. And look how far we've come in awareness of how to take care of the body. It's like now it's unfathomable. Like, what? I try to tell my son, like, yeah, they used to smoke in hospitals. What? Like, we used to do what? So I'm just kind of, because I also can't kind of precog energy. I'm just like projecting 20 years from now. I'm going to look back on what we do now and go, we did what? we used to do what for these diseases? And, and now it's going to be having a med bed is going to be so normal, right? Having these technologies that go and just absolutely repair the system instantaneously is going to be a thing. And so, but we have to create space and allow these new technologies to come through us, through our DNA that's being activated right now, right now, right now, with these sun codes, with the earth plane. The vibration has shifted. We're in a new space of consciousness. We are connected to the central sun through each per sun, right? The solar plexus. So let me take a breath. Yeah, work with the rose medicine, work with cacao. These are the elementals that want to be played with this week, especially. Do your practice, do your ritual for the new moon in Pisces. Go be by a water bank if you can. Be by salt water, be by the beach, do very Piscean things, right? Look at some of the constructs of Pisces and some of the practices. It's a very spiritual component. It's very dreamy. It's very watery. It's mystical. And so allow yourself to be in these mystical spaces as these new constructs, this new architecture is coming through. Create space, give yourself time. It's a very yin, it's a very internal experience. So allow yourself to experience a version of you based in unconditional love for the other that's coming online this week. And yeah, do I feel complete? Yeah, I feel complete in this transmission for this week, for this strong, catching the language. So go enjoy your half a fortnight, which a fortnight is 2 weeks. So a half of a fortnight is a week, or strong. Again, upgrading the language, catching myself as much as I can. And yeah, just enjoy the energy as much as you can by staying in your spiritual practices. And I love you guys so much. And as these new frequencies of unconditional love come online, it's okay. It's okay to be scared that if you love something unconditionally that you might lose it, or that will change one day. It's okay. Love it now. Love that relationship that you've been scared to get into because you were scared to lose it. Same thing with the job, the house, whatever, wherever this is housing, this energy, wherever Pisces is in your chart, go look at that. That's where subconsciously you may have had these fears of loving unconditionally because of fear of loss. And I would just share with you that it's okay. It's a natural part of the process of loving unconditionally. And we maybe never have been able to tap into it before because everything has been conditional up until this now moment. So anyway, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching and connecting. And if I can help you in any part of your chart journey, expression, self, navigating any of these energies, please connect to me. Please contact. I'll work with you actually in payment plans. I've been working with a couple of clients lately that, they want my services, but they just can't afford the full amount now. So I'll do it in three installments or payments because I really want to work with the energies. I want to work with you. I want to work with honoring our currents and our energies and still being of service. And so If any of this connects to you in any way, or you're feeling the draw to help, just someone to help you navigate these energies and currents and seeing what maybe you architecture or blueprints are coming online for you, I would love to be of service in that way. Astrology is my joy, bliss. It's my language that I love to speak. And so I'd love to speak this language with you in neutrality and love. It's my way of expressing unconditional love. So thank you for connecting to the channel. Thank you, everybody watching. I love you so much. I'm so grateful for this journey with you. Much love, and enjoy your half a fortnight and this new moon in Pisces. Okay.